Hey everybody, this is Merrick coming at you not live, and today I'm going to be looking at, ironically, one of my first Transformers figures, and for the first time on the channel, I'm going to be looking at Transformers in a sort of critical sense, I guess. So today I picked up a copy, well, as if I'm talking about a video game, ironically enough, well, what I do say, though, ironically rings true, because there have been many versions of this guy, but the one I have right in front of me in particular is from Transformers Armada. This is Demolishor. He is one of the Decepticon troops in Armada. He is also one of Megatron's right-hand men, and specifically one of his most loyal soldiers. Not as loyal as fucking Starscream wants to be. I almost called him Skywarp, ironically enough. I know later on in the show he calls himself Thundercracker, but still, that do be how the cookie crumbles. Either way, Demolishor here is a figure of an unknown size class. I'm mainly privy to the current size classes, which go from core up until, I believe, Titan, and everything in between. Yeah, they got Commander, Deluxe, Voyager, and I believe that's all of them, right? Yeah, no. Deluxe, Voyager, Commander, Core, and Leader class. There we go. I couldn't think of that one. Right, because I do have another Leader class with me to show off quickly because it pertains to Demolishor here. But Demolishor here, I don't know what class he is. He's pretty small for his size. And honestly, way back when this guy came out, he had a lot of stuff that came with him, though, that he's missing here. So I picked him up from Paul's Toy Room down in New Jersey for 15 bucks. And Demolishor here is honestly cool for what he is. Now, I am biased, as probably going to be a catchphrase, I guess, from now on, ironically enough. I'm very biased towards this guy because I grew up with Armada, as well as the rest of the Unicron trilogy and Transformers Animated, so I like this figure. A lot of the other figures from Transformers Armada weren't the greatest in terms of, like, articulation and whatnot, but for what Demolishor here is, he's got pretty good. He's pretty good. Though I do personally think that he needs an update to go along with a bunch of other Armada figures that we've had released currently as a part of the the Generations line, soon to be name changed, of course. So, without further ado, I might as well get into what Demolishor is all about. Ooh, the camera almost fell over. Oh boy, that would have been fun. Alright, so Demolishor here is pretty standard for what he is, especially at the time that he came out. Honestly, I'd argue that he's even more standard because he doesn't have a lot of auto-morphing features. Actually, none that I know of. As you can see here, he has very basic articulation. His arm can swivel forward and back. His lower arm can do this and that. He has guns for hands, so there's not really much that you could, like, argue and whatnot could be a, oh, this ain't gonna work out too well. But for what he's got, he surprisingly works very well. And they even made it so that it sort of subtly juts out a little bit right there, as you can sort of see, and you can sort of set his arm like any sort of like way like that. Honestly, looking at him, his arms kind of remind me of the turrets from Aliens and Aliens vs. Predator. Come on, camera, focus on him. There we go. From the turrets from AVP from the side a little bit, or Aliens, I should say. I played a lot of the video game. But yeah, even so, he's still got like really nice design. I love his leg. I love his leg design. So, I'm just put his arm back like that for a sec so we can show this off real quick. So, his legs are very, like, large at the top and thinner at the bottom, because his feet are obviously treads and whatnot. The thing I like about this, though, is that it sort of gives, like, a cargo pantsy look. I don't know, it's very, like, street clothesy. I like it. It's kind of cool, especially with the way he transforms. And, to be honest with you, the transformation is very simple, and to be also completely fair, a lot of his articulation really is there to only play into the transformation. But for what he's got, it's still pretty good and whatnot, I'd argue. Doesn't hold a candle to what we currently have, but either way, it's still something nice. I'm just going to fumble around with them for a bit. I will get into what I do think could be done to make an updated version of him near the end of this, so at least to get into it right now, I'll show his transformation on screen real quick. So, first things first. You do this. You put his arms up as such, like so, right? Flip those over like that. Now, the reason why I do this first, otherwise to make clearance for the legs and whatnot. So this is an attack mode that he actually uses in the show. Now, what I don't have here, of course, is his minicon or his missiles. So these just kind of look like weird little like dud pods, and ironically enough, this is how I actually played a lot with the toy as a kid. I did not get him as, you know, fully from the store and whatnot. I got him, I believe, secondhand from somebody. So for one of my first Transformers was never finished, ironically enough, and I've never found a full one since that was at a decent price. Either way, I'm glad to still have picked him up, though, because I really love this paint job, though it's not accurate to the cartoon at all. But yeah, first you do his arms like so, right? Which will give some more clearance to the legs. So here's the first part of his sort of like head articulation, his articulation really only playing into the transformation. So we can't really turn his head at all. It's very solid in there. But he can move his head back, as you sort of saw there, right? You flip his head, come on, focus camera. You flip his head back like so, flip it in, and you push it in like that. As much as I like his transformation, something like that is a little scary to hear or feel. I feel like I'm going to break this thing playing around with that. Now, quick little notice. This actually right here has to do with this transformation a little bit. Come on, camera, focus on it, baby. Don't look at Jar Jar. Come on, Jar Jar will have his day one day, but not right now. There we go. So this right here is is like a little subtle thing. Really, this is seating for his minicon Blackout. But what it is right now is you flip this over like so. You can do that like the seat like that. Or you flip it underneath for his tank mode so that it's nice flat surface and whatnot. And I believe you need this in his robot mode just because, you know, it's just a way to look at the seat and make this back sort of. But otherwise, I don't know why this really like juts out. It's kind of odd, aside from being a seat for Blackout and whatnot. So yeah, you flip that down. This is not really an important test. You can have this set up either way, but I think it just provides clearance for being able to do stuff like move him around and whatnot without a little bump in the back. So his legs are actually very simple. Real quick, one piece of articulation I didn't talk about because it's not really that important. So his legs move up like that. That's his only knee articulation. And it doesn't really do much. So no point in really discussing that aside from maybe, you know, doing his legs back like that, doing that. And you can make him look like the chicken walker from episode 4, the ATST. Oh, episode 4, what the fuck am I talking about? They first appeared in episode 5 and then they were in episode 6. But either way, you can make him look like the ATST like that a little bit. Though that top does not look like one. Honestly, when he's standing up and whatnot, he does kind of remind me a bit of the geckos from Metal Gear Solid 4. And the Metal Gear comparisons will not end there. As when he's in full tank mode, you'll see what I mean in a sec. So you flip up his little cargo shorts, flip them up like that, do his leg like that, flip his foot up, push it in, and boom. Now, we're not done with the legs yet. I'll get to that in one sec. But once again, flip them up, flip out to the foot, do it in, and so, clip it in down like that, right? So he's still kind of a little, like, oddly shaped here. He's just sort of, like, jutting up and down and whatnot, as you can sort of see there. But what you do is you flip his legs up like so, both sides, and you push him up. When you do that, in the back here, there's a peg. It clips into this little screw hole right there, and boom, makes his leg complete. You do that both sides, like so, and boo, fucking, whoop, oops, fumble. I'll do that off camera real quick. Okay, sweet. So boom. He is now in full tank mode. Let me just set him down on the table real quick, and we can take a look at his size and whatnot. I really love that Decepticon emblem on his front there. It shines very nicely and whatnot. I'm just gonna use my hand to like make sure this camera is nice and stable. Doesn't like being this slow to the ground. But either way, we'll get that going good. So as you can sort of see, for a tank, he's nothing too crazy. Apparently what you're supposed to do for the play pattern is throw blackout in between his front treads here, and it sort of completes the tank look. Though ironically enough too, if you have the missiles for both his firing options, that would actually complete the sort of tank look on the side here though, too. Now without them, honestly, again, he kind of reminds me a bit of a Arsenal gear thing from Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, those AI weapon things. He's just missing the AI pod. Hell, you could probably make like a custom one and plug it onto like the Minicon peg, and there you go, serve right the purpose. Hey, you can throw a ray dome on this side, why don't you hit that Rex reference in? Also kind of looks like the Shagohod a little bit, but I don't know, it's kind of odd. I do like the tank mode. And honestly, for the simple transformation... Whoop, oopsie daisy, that was almost bad. Honestly, for the simple transformation that this guy has, he's been a sort of desk former for me. I really like messing around with him and fidgeting around with him when I need him to. And it's a really fun little toy. Honestly, I feel safer transforming him than transforming a lot of other Transformers, but that's something that I'm going to get into another video about later down the road, because I got a lot of thoughts on that. So it's kind of ironic that an older toy could make me feel that way, because the other two here kind of scare me with their transformations back and forth, so I've not really done it since. But again, I'll get into that later. Well, you know, at a later date, I should say. So let me quickly transform him back, and we should be good to go. Alright, first things first, do the legs down, like so. You just do a reverse of all the steps I did, nothing too crazy, right? Flip his legs down like that. Next up, you bring forward his legs like so. Whoop, foot out, right? All the way down. Put his leg down like that. Clip it in. Up. I'm like, I'm trying to do that without trying to flip the leg out. Boom. Get a little different angle on that. Flip this down. Flip down his little pants. Boom. He's got his cargo pants now. He's ready to roll. Oh, don't forget. The most important step. Always fold in the seat back. Alright, so once we get him back in a sort of gecko mode, flip him open like so, flip his arms down, and flip head up. Booyah! Demolishor back in robot mode. Like I said, really fun little toy. I can't complain about this. It's a childhood thing. I'm biased. I like the show. I like the figure. But here's the thing, right? How does he stand up to some of his contemporaries from the modern line? I do not own any of my older Transformers figures that I've had. Like, I don't even know where my my freaking Armada Megatron went. It probably broke as a kid. But here's Megs. I'm gonna have to fit him in a frame in a sec here. Whoop. His arm, his little cannon there is blocking it off. So here's Megs as a size comparison to Demolishor. Megatron is out of frame. He is a tall boy. From Armada, he's a tall boy. Look at that shit. Really fucking cool. I love the Megatron figure from the Legacy line. I never would have expected it. I don't really keep up with toy news, so when I saw him, I was like, ooh, cool. And I even gave him a blaster from another dude because his empty hand looked a little sad without, you know, something to hold and whatnot. But I do have another contemporary from the Decepticons, the only other Armada Decepticon that I brought in. Well, that they made, too, I should say. We have Armada Starscream. Honestly, one of my favorite interpretations of Starscream, and let's see how he compares in size. If I remember correctly, this ain't accurate. Demolishor and Starscream, if I remember correctly, stand about the same height. I've been re-watching Armada, so I've been noticing that. It could be just the shoulder. It could be just that the missiles are missing from his shoulders, but they really should be the same height. So standing together, let me get them all going here real quick. I'll even put Demolishor in a little pose too, so that he's standing with his buddies in a proper way. Sort of way that I like to do it. There we go. Boom. Went and pull back real quick. That's how you do it. That's our boys. The three OGs. Before Cyclonus and Thrust came in to tangle with the fun. Also, good old what's his name, Sideways. All right, I really like this set, but of course, as much as I love the original Demolisher for his articulation and just being able to transform in a fun way, I really do wish that he got an update so that he stands pretty tall with both of his buddies here, I should say. Well, his leader and his fucking friend behind the thing. I'm just gonna move his arms off camera real quick because I'm gonna get a little closer this time with him. So I was thinking about it, right? I've kind of noticed like sort of the play pattern here with him and his transformation, which could actually go a long way in maybe designing some better Transformers in the future if they follow along with this correctly. I know Hasbro's a bit of a fickle mistress, considering a lot of bullshit that goes on with them and whatnot, but I'm still sort of happy that, we get some pretty decent Transformers around. I just wish they weren't so fucking damn pricey. But looking into it, we could definitely just update, by removing all of, the pegs and replacing them with 5mm ports, as per usual. Beefing up his size a little bit would go a long way. Getting him into scale with fucking Starscream, really good. We need that to be a thing, because, you can't just get the old guy and have him stand right there. Look at them. They're supposed to be about the same size, tank and plane and all that crap. Either way, I know that Starscream joins the Autobots for a second there, and for a couple episodes and whatnot. But he's still got to be, he's still got to be about the same size. Honestly, keeping the legs this way in terms of change, but adding articulation would be great, especially for a foot pivot. Get him in more dynamic poses. He is capable of it. He needs to be with his gun hands. His E123 Omega style gun hands, which should never change. Straight up. This is already great enough articulation. But to improve upon it, right? You know what they could easily do? Put this on a whole separate peg so that they can so that this whole apparatus can swivel. And then you make the hands be able to swivel to get even more dynamic poses. You do that both sides, and boom, you're good. Also, obviously they don't do gimmicks really anymore, but if they get rid of the gimmick inside of here, the missile launcher, and just make the shoulders solid pieces with built-in cannons that may or may not be removable, I'd argue. Depends on how you want to see things. There you go. Also, head articulation. There you go. Perfect fucking Demolisher figure, and obviously the paint's got to be more accurate to the show. Apparently the Takara version that was only sold in Japan has show accurate colors and whatnot. So his face is dark gray. Those eyes are the right color, I think. Everything else is a little odd, but I still like it either way, inaccuracies and all. I mean, he really is a better figure than this fucking thing from McDonald's, the only other Transformer I had from Armada ages ago. I mean, now at least, they're definitely not in scale with each other anymore, but I don't know, man. That's a story for another day. He's an improvement over him, but these guys are definite improvements over him. It's not, it's nothing here nor there. A nice figure's a nice figure. And as much as I like Demolisher, he's almost perfect. He just needs the current sort of legacy treatment in order to become one with his sort of form here. Get these guys in a really cool pose and whatnot for that ending shot. Why not? I don't know. I like him. I like Demolisher. He's a nice fucking figure. You can't go wrong with him. Though I do think he needs an update big time. Hopefully we get to see more Armada stuff. And honestly, again, like I said, I'm biased to that, so I definitely buy it if I see it. So gladly so. Maybe hopefully I can get that frickin' Titan class tidal wave on discount at some point. Anyway, hope you like this look at Demolisher and my first look at Transformers. Merrick, out. See you guys.